Welcome to the town board meeting of Queens for July 10th, 2025. If you'll join me for the pledge, we can convene this meeting. The flag is this way.
Oh, are we doing that?
Okay, yeah, let's do this.
All right.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Solve that flag, bro. One of these days. Okay. We will begin by opening a public hearing for HUD. And it's being held to receive public comments on the town of Queens proposed public housing agency, a PHA plan for the year 2025. This plan is required of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD. It outlines how the town will administer the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Section 8 program helps eligible low-income individuals and families afford safe, decent housing in the private rental market. It's an important part of how we support housing stability and choice in our community. Because this program is governed by complex federal regulations, the town contracts with JEM Incorporated. It's a professional housing consultant based out of Saratoga Springs to administer this program on our behalf. JEM ensures that all HUD requirements are met and that eligible residents and landlords are served efficiently and fairly. The 2025 PHA plan outlines the goals for the year, updates the policies and procedures, and our continued commitment to fair and equitable housing support. We're pleased to welcome Nancy Williams from JEM, who is with us this evening, and available to answer any questions about the program or the proposed plan. The draft plan has been made available for review at the town hall and JEM's office. Tonight is an opportunity for the residents to ask questions and share comments before the plan is finalized and submitted to HUD. And we thank you for your support and participation in this. And if that
Well, before we proceed, do we want
make a motion
Candace to no? Do we want Candace to read in the public notice?
Yes, Candace, if you do that.
Sure.
We also want to, after that, make a motion to open the public hearing.
There you go. Town of Queens Public Hearing, PHA Plan for 2025, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, July 10th, 2025. The Board of the Town of Queens will hold a public hearing on July 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Queens Town Hall, located at 18 Russell Ave, Ravena, New York, for the purpose of receiving comments from the public on the proposed PHA plan for 2025 for the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Copies of the PHA plan and all supporting documentation are available for review by the public at the following locations: Town of Queens, Russell Ave, Ravena, New York, or GEM Inc., 57 Fila Street, Saratoga Springs.
Thank you. Make a motion to open the public hearing now.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. My name is Nancy Williams. I'm here as a representative from GEM Inc. We administer your Housing Choice Voucher Plan. I brought with me just a brief report to give you kind of a current snapshot of where you're at with the program. We've been administering the town's plan since 1978. You currently have 74 Housing Choice Vouchers. You have 136 people on your waiting list as of yesterday. Of those, 13 live or work in the area. 9 or 69% of those are elderly or disabled living and working in the area currently. We have 73 families currently housed. 61 of those are elderly or disabled households, 64%. We have 1 move out, portability move out, 1 portability move, or 12 portability move in. In the past year, we have done 118 total inspections. We had 98 that passed on the first inspection, 20 that did not pass the first time. We had 1 lead-based failed inspection. The average number of years in the program for all participants is 8.9 years. Elderly or disabled participants is 9.2 years. The average grossly month income of participants on the program is $1,687. The average subsidy paid to landlords on the town behalf each month is $732 for each participating family. The hearing really is a hearing about how the program gets administered. So I tell people it's not about the value of the program or whether people like the program or agree with the program. It's really just the nuts and bolts of how the program is administered, how we move through the waiting list, how we do our inspections, how we recertify families, and when we do that. So I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
I have a question, Nancy. So the waiting list, 136 people on the waiting list. How is that waiting list, created? Like, is it first come, first serve,
So yes, and
or needs based?
I was going to say, so it's a first come, first served waiting list. However, you have a priority for people who live and work in the community. So anyone that lives or works in Queens and applies to the waiting list gets priority on the waiting list, because any applicant from anywhere in the country can apply to any Section 8 program. Once they are offered assistance, they have to move into the municipality that offers the assistance for the first year of the voucher. After that, it's portable. All vouchers are after 1 year. So anybody on the waiting list, you have 22, it looks like, currently on the waiting list. They would be the next 22 people we would reach. The person that applied last on the waiting list that we expect to reach applied in October of last year. So it's unlikely that we'd ever reach anybody that was below a P1 on our waiting list, quite frankly.
You may have mentioned this, so I apologize, but if there are 74 housing choice vouchers and you mentioned that they're portable, are those 74 here, or are some of them?
Yep, so you have one that currently holds a voucher from Queens who has moved out.
Mhm.
You have 12 people that came from other municipalities that have ported in.
Okay,
So
that's what
I did look at that. I looked at that closely yesterday because I thought you might wonder where these people are coming from.
so that's important.
Most of them come from contiguous communities. My guess is that they're in Ravena because there's work in Ravena for them. So the majority of them came from Bethlehem, Westerloo, one from Greene County, but the majority came from communities immediately surrounding Ravena.
I had a question. So how long are they on the waiting list for?
It really depends. Our waiting lists are very stagnant right now because we're waiting to hear what the funding is going to look like. We have some waiting lists that are 5 years long. We have other waiting lists that we get through about every 9 months. It really does depend on the funding and how it flows. This looks like it's a relatively smooth waiting list. It's less than a year right now. So that means that your vouchers have a reasonable amount of turnover and new people are able to be added to the program.
So I don't know if it would be the same. Section 8, they would be told in Albany County they'll be on the waiting list for 3 years. That puts people off.
And so we don't close our waiting list. Many programs do, many housing authorities do. I'm sure everybody's read about housing authorities closing waiting lists. We've never, in the history of the company, are starting to have conversations with some of our waiting lists. And some of it's kind of a moral question. When somebody calls and says, hey, I'd like to get on that waiting list and it's 7 years long, is it reasonable to ever expect that somebody's going to reach the top of a 7-year waiting list? And so are we holding out false hope to somebody that you might get assistance? If we have less than a year, less than 18 months, it's pretty reasonable that somebody might get chosen to receive a voucher in a time frame where it could make a difference for their family. Yeah.
I have a question about some of your key program goals.
Sure.
One is promote self-sufficiency through financial and employment and home ownership support. How does that work?
So we have a program called the Family Self-Sufficiency Program that is part of Section 8 programs in some municipalities. You do not have that program here. That being said, we also work with any family in any of our program to connect them to any financial literacy resources that are out there. We do a lot with local lenders. We do workshops ourselves where we go into the community to conduct workshops. We have a budgeting specialist. We have a credit specialist. We send out blast emails on a monthly basis offering workshops, programs, resources to folks to help them better manage or learn how to manage their money. We promote employment through the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. The Home Ownership Program is a HUD program that recognizes an asset building model that says that people who live on the edge of poverty really can make a change out of poverty if they're able to build assets. And assets are things like a reliable car, a savings account, and a home. And it shows that people that build assets have a longer term likelihood of success and remaining successful. And so that's part of the philosophy of the program.
So is that program, the one that you're talking about, is it indicative of the 50 voucher holder, the survey where 6 people responded? Or do a lot of?
No, the surveys for for the Family Self-Sufficiency Program are separate from the surveys that go out specifically for voucher holders.
But is it a low percentage, like 6 people out of 50 responding?
I think it's probably a higher percentage because we tend to have a more engaged subset. When you have a high level of elderly or disabled participants, they may not be as engaged because it's really just a financial subsidy and they're not really interacting with the program as much as maybe an employed family where they're doing recertifications on a regular basis because there's fluctuations in income or fluctuations in childcare cost, or they're working and they need help to get their automobile repaired. We see a lot more among our working poor families than our elderly or disabled folks.
With respect to the inspections and the failed inspections, can you talk to us about sort of that process and what you do?
So, and this looks like an alarming number. It's not. There's lots of reasons a unit can fail. It can be something as simple as a loose handrail on the front porch, a piece of carpet that's not securely tacked. There's a new inspection module. I think everybody just got letters sent out to them, so some of you may have seen those, that we've just started. HUD's instituted some new rules, and it has to do with hardwired fire smoke detectors and GFI switches in any room that has water, including laundry rooms. And we've had a lot of new, recently failed inspections, apartment complexes that never fail. You go into the laundry room and there's not a GFI. That's an immediate failure. So we almost always are able to cure. We try very hard to keep people in the unit they're in. The cost of moving for a family with little means is usually not a manageable solution. And so we often work with the landlords and or the tenant to cure whatever it is. So that doesn't mean that those units were taken offline. It just means they didn't pass the first inspection.
Do they renew the vouchers, or, I mean, like if their finances got better?
Yep. So anytime there's a change in household income or change in household composition, they need to report that to us, and we recalculate the subsidy that we pay on their behalf. And that's why it goes back to what I said about working families, where there's ups and downs. Somebody's working for the school, they go out for the summer, their income changes. At that point in time, we recalculate their voucher anytime there's those changes.
But how do you know their finances have changed? I mean, they have to apply every year, or?
No, we gather that information as part of their annual recertification.
Oh, okay. You said one point you had 136 on a waiting list, and then you said something about 22 on the waiting list.
No, well, there's of the 136 on the waiting list, 13 of them live or work in the area, and 9 of them are elderly or disabled living in the town itself. So that's the 22. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Sure. You were talking about housing. Now, does your program deal with anything with, because there's like certain programs in certain parts of the cities where they get grant money to purchase a home? Is that involved in it?
Through the home ownership program, we work with they're called neighborhood improvement or rural improvement companies. And they are given grant money for down payment assistance, closing costs.
Right.
Folks go through their home buyer education class, their 8-hour HUD required home buyer education class through those community partners. So we work with them in that way, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further public comment or board questions for Nancy?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
Mr. Supervisor, do we want to leave the public hearing open for another 10 minutes or so in case someone comes in? I think.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about we would just do the paperwork at the end. And we will simultaneously open another public hearing.
That's technically
Gotta
not.
wait
Is
till
that
possible?
6:30, so.
Oh, okay, we do have to wait till 6:30? All right.
Do you want to do
Let's
like
go through our agenda.
Yeah.
for that, ask if there's anyone here for the
Okay.
So,
Nancy, do you have a question?
Unless you need me for anything else, I'm going to excuse myself.
Do you need the signed copy
I would
of
love a signed copy of that if you have it.
certification?
It saves Candace having to scan it and mail it to me tomorrow.
I think she should.
Nancy, can you stick around just for 10 more minutes until we actually close the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
Yep.
You want me to take that with me now?
Sure.
Because I'll quietly leave in 10 minutes. if you don't need me.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It was
Thank
nice
you,
meeting you all.
Nancy.
Thank you.
Candace, I might as well give you this one. Yep. Okay, 2 announcements tonight. One is for Evening on the Green, performance by Mr. E Band, and that's on the 16th of July at Gerald Park at 6 p.m. And the second one is the FUN program, that's Feed Your Neighbor. It's a free summer food distribution program, and it's open every Monday during July and August from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. for families of the RCS school district and community that have received free and reduced lunches during the school year. Where is this? You didn't put where this was.
St. Patrick's.
It's at
Church
St.
Hall.
Patrick's Church?
Hall.
Hall, okay. And there are an assortment of foods available, and you can pick and choose what you like for your family. Please bring shopping bags and proof of residence. I've also just been saving paper Walmart bags. Do you
We
need
do.
those for
We keep them.
donations?
If you have them, we'll take them.
Okay, and if you are saving paper Walmart bags,
Yeah,
you
we'll
can
take them.
bring them as
Yeah,
donations.
thank you.
Approval of minutes. Okay, did everybody get their minutes for, let me get back to our last meeting, which is the 26th of June. I make a motion to accept those into the record.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted. Okay, old business, the RFQ recommendation. So we had, all the board members, receive the RFQ, request for qualifications from the town clerk, in our mailboxes. And, also have a sheet to fill out, submittals for, wastewater improvements. It's an evaluation sheet. Did we wanna have that conversation? We have gone through them. Steve, you're still, we're
I
waiting.
have not gone through mine.
So we're gonna, just discuss that a bit more once you go through them and.
On the 24th, next meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem if you guys want to initiate a conversation right now.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I don't think if we're not gonna make a decision or do anything about it, we shouldn't talk about it now.
That's fine.
Let everybody have a fair chance to take a look at it.
Yeah, that's fine.
The only question I got is with respect to that score sheet you gave us. Is that is that what determines what we go with, that score, or? I mean, is that like the end all be all with this, is that how it's always worked in the past, or is it something that,
I wouldn't think so, because we have best procurement.
Yeah, I mean, in their professional
Right.
services, as I understand it, and I'll confirm this for you before the 24th, but it's really guiding your discussion.
Yeah.
But not necessarily.
Okay,
Decision.
Correct. So
okay,
if someone
that's
was
fine.
Slightly, similar to a bid process, if
That's
someone were slightly more expensive, but you felt that that was the better product or service. you would have to-
And I always say the most technically, whatever, no matter what the cost is.
But I will need a copy of everyone's filled out
Right.
Yes.
sheet for grant
I
paperwork.
was curious, because I wasn't sure if it was, you calculated the points of each one, and that determined the winner, or if it was just like, you're number one, you're number one, you're number one, if we had a majority. So you're saying it's just a sort of more of a formality to get us to look through and score everything, but
Right.
really, we have the final say up here, okay.
But he's going to make sure
We'll confirm
we're not
that, and
telling
then
you.
we really want to be sure all that paperwork is,
In line.
in line so that
Sure.
we can submit that as part of the grant application.
And refresh my memory, is the RFQ a requirement for the grant?
So we did have to go through that process as part of the grant. We authorized the initial RFQ process. One of the questions I'll confirm with LaBerge and maybe Mr. Siegel can give us guidance on that even tonight is, do we need to formally act on the RFQ prior to the first when that gets submitted, or is that something that can happen after the fact? So, it's fresh, it's come in, I think it makes sense to have it on the agenda and sort of start the discussion. But that's not necessarily one of the action items we have to act on the 24th. There are a few others that we will need to take care of.
Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page and how we're doing it.
And Candace, do you prefer that you get these all on the 24th, or can we hand them in if we already?
You can hand it in if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, before I left the office this afternoon, I actually I didn't have time to put these on old business, but I just wanted to update the board and the public that I spoke with Jim Clark on the 9th, that was yesterday. And he is going to send a full document package next week. He estimates that's probably Tuesday, he said. His internal review is continuing, and he's also going to send a document package to code enforcement for their review and see if they have any questions. And his estimation will be going out to bid in the next couple of weeks.
If there are documents that he's going to want us to take a look at from a legal perspective, if he could just include us,
Yeah.
in that would be great. I just don't want us to hold anything up, so.
Also, as of this morning, I checked about the applications for the wastewater treatment plant. We had put it on the town website, and we have 22 applications to date. A majority from Indeed also, and I spoke to Keith today, and we're very interested in interviewing people. I think the deadline for applications is 25th of this month, so we might start the interview process kind of sooner than later. If we get another 22, that could be a log jam. But good to know that it's going through. There's been some good applicants so far. And also I guess we'll probably talk about this. This is the CDBG CFA grant. I talked to Nancy on the 9th also yesterday, and she's about 2/3 done. She said she should be finished by the end of the week, and that's going along well too. And she got the SHPO documents from you. Did she respond?
She hasn't responded. I asked her if that was sufficient. If
Yeah.
anything else, I haven't heard back from her, so either it is or I will hear from her tomorrow.
That's all I have for old business. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Okay, hearing none, let's move along to new business. So Near Map and Apex, we emailed the board along with Dawn from the assessor's office, and just to get everybody up to speed on Near Map and Apex, the two things that Dawn is asking for. More Apex just for the assessor's office. Well, in Near Map is a high-resolution aerial imagery service, captures detailed, frequently updated images of our community. We had a 2-week trial. It's a pretty amazing tool that can be used across all of our departments. I mean, it's useful for the sewer department, code, assessor, even our office. I found it useful for using it for grants, applications, and infrastructure planning. Jason can use it, Dawn can use it. Keith could use it for stormwater compliance and economic development. It's a really powerful tool. Dawn's office could use it for, she doesn't have to leave and go visit every parcel in person. She can see if there's additions or sheds or decks or pools being put up without permits. And what's great about it is it can be used across a variety of departments. She's also asking for Apex, which is digital sketch software. I think she sent an email for everybody what she's doing with pencils now, and she's actually training her deputy clerk in the old-fashioned way. And it's our opinion that if people are being trained, they should be trained, with modern systems that reduce inefficiencies and support data-driven decisions, especially across the departments. And I kind of wove this in because Candace had sent the letter about laser fishing, which is expanded to 100 different people, licensed to 100 different users, which I thought was amazing that we could finally start. It was just coincidence that both these things came at once, that we could really start to modernize our filing systems and our assessors and codes office. So I think these are three things that we should really look at.
So a question, so I know like near map, when I had visited you during the 2-week trial, we were sort of looking at it, it is pretty amazing, but you said like, the way it works is drones fly around and they take pictures and then it's updated every so often. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, from what I use, and they do it usually around April or May, they will do an area again, so you can go back years and see what's been going on.
That's my question, like how often is it updated, like once per year maybe?
From my limited use of it, I had used it for that, but there's also a sort of I can't remember what Dawn was saying, but it's sort of, it has like a digital use that updates kind of regularly, not the general area, but that would be something that we would have to dig into the details. I haven't even spoken to the salesperson yet or the representative because I want to talk to you guys first and kind of see where we were at with it.
Internet says they try to update 6 times per year.
6 times per year.
Okay.
And Candace, with the Laserfiche, so essentially it's like taking, instead of like paper, it's now on the cloud more or less, right?
It's like taking your file cabinet and putting it in your computer. Right now we have an in-house system, which means you can only use it in this building from this server, and we only have 4 users that have it. And the court has their own version of it as well. They were a little worried about safety, but when I talked to Mr. Cadman, they can keep their in-house version if they'd like, and we can use a cloud version, which is Department of Defense rated, so it should be fine for the court, but it obviously would be up to the 3rd Judicial District. So by expanding to the cloud, we can use it anywhere, so you could all have access, even from your house, and you can look up files and old contracts and things of that sort. All of my vital records are on there. The assessor could file all her files in there instead of having to come over to the dungeon and look for things. Everything in the building department could be eventually put in Laserfiche as well. Is it a daunting task? Yes. Would it take a very long time? But if we kind of roll with it and we have that ability,
The end result will pay off.
exactly.
Would that eventually save the town space when it comes to
Yes.
like the hard copies?
It
I know
would
with the
save-
new building, we're worried about like where's all the, where the dungeon is, like all those papers, where's it gonna go?
Right.
So eventually those can
Be gone.
be gone and it'll be.
There's certain things we would keep for historical purposes, but not nearly as much as the space we take up.
Yes.
So,
If I can interject, that would be consistent with the resolution we adopted 2 months ago, maybe,
Yes.
when we indicated that official copies could
Could
be
be digital.
electronic.
Yes.
Not just hard copies.
And we could do the same with the assessor's office.
everything could be like, Marilyn had to come over here today to find records downstairs. If they were already on Laserfiche, she could have done it from there, and not had to have done that. And with the users, you can limit users. I can make it so you can only read certain documents. We can make files secure, like we can't get into the assessor files because she has financial information. You can't get into my vital records, but we can make sure that our lawyers can get in and look at things and read only documents. And we can even add an online portal to the website if we wanted to allow the public to see certain documents that we uploaded into that area as well. But everything would be digitized on the cloud, so we wouldn't have to have all the paper.
Great, thank you.
Also, Dawn had made the point that she worked in an office that had been flooded and all the documents were destroyed. So it's also, preservation of these documents. And, the way that things are getting flooded these days, it's good to be forward thinking. Also, I received an email from, just because it jogged my memory, from a resident today about basically telling the residents about our hazard mitigation plan. I just want that resident to know that I didn't have time to answer your email today, but I think it's a great idea, and I will get to that probably next week, so everyone can feel a bit safer about the way the weather's been going in different states, so that we're protected. Also, if there's any question about the money, the near map at $8,300 per year, dispersed between 6 departments would be around $1,383. That would be from a fund from 5 departments, but the wastewater treatment plant would come out of their SS 8130.2. There's $55,000 in their budget, so we have sufficient fund balance for a purchase like this. And I believe she said Apex, the initial buy-in was $600, but that goes down as it goes by. And I think Apex also works with the state's real property program. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's $655 for the first year, then $260 every year after that. So it does go down.
Okay. So if we want to think about that or act on that, I guess that's up to us.
Have you had discussions with any other department other than Candace, town clerk, and assessor?
Jason, Dawn, and Candace, yeah. I have a feeling, I mean, I would probably work with Keith on it because we work really closely together with all the projects that we're doing. Chief could use it. I'm sure that Stephanie would, appreciate it for code enforcement, things like that. It's a really, really powerful tool. And I think it's well worth the investment for the time and money that we'll save.
I believe I sent you the price sheet for Laserfish, but it's $8,500 to start the program, transfer our files, and that includes training. And there'll be a small reduction in that due to the fact that we already have a program. And then every year it'll be approximately $5,000 to maintain the program. That's, everyone can use it. I would assume you would just take it out of records management. You'll just have to bump that budget up.
Yeah. I almost can't wait for budget time because we're going to bump in a bunch of things so that we can keep growing. But if the board's comfortable with making a motion to authorize the payments and the signatures that are necessary for this, I would love to go ahead with it.
I think, looking towards the future, I think it's something that will be efficient and effective for the town.
I agree. Any other discussion? And I'd like,
This would be a motion then to authorize the supervisor to execute necessary documents relating to both the procurement of near map / Apex and the Laserfish.
yes.
Okay. Just maybe upon review of council of any contracts or
Contract.
agreements in place.
I'll do it. I don't think I can remember that, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
I'm,
well stated by our
Yeah.
council.
Go back to the video and I'll replay it.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to allow the supervisor to sign the necessary forms to acquire near map and Apex, as well as Laserfish for the town of Queens, pending that all the information goes through the lawyers and our town attorney make sure there's no issues with it. That was not what you said, Rich, I understand, but is that close enough?
Close enough, absolutely.
All right.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Probably should close
Do-
out the
yeah,
public
yeah.
hearing and open up the
Yes,
next
at
one.
6:30, yep. If there's no further discussion on the HUD public hearing, I make a motion to close it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? HUD public hearing is closed.
Just want to do the last riverfront vending, then we'll go into the CDB.
Yeah, I almost forgot that.
I mean, it's after 6:30. We could open the public hearing.
Yeah,
for the
sure.
CDBG. I don't think anybody's here to talk about it, but.
Yeah, just very quickly, and I had emailed this to the board, and they had responded about vendors at Riverfront. inviting them to the park so they can enhance the experience of the residents. There's a couple of food vendors that are interested in it, and we're reaching out to them. As my understanding is that they have all of the necessary insurance and documentation. I went through the code. I didn't see that there was any permit required or any fee associated with it.
Have a vendor permit?
We don't have
process?
one, no.
Okay,
Maybe something they want to implement eventually if they're gonna do that, but
right. I mean, that's something,
For next
for
year.
this summer, you can proceed, but longer term, you may want to take a look at
Right.
what that process would look like, how you might control which vendors would be approved or authorized, which would not, just so that there's a process.
Is there anybody down there currently?
No, they're waiting, for us to have the discussion to see if everybody's comfortable with it.
That's a good idea, as long as they get all their permits and their insurance and whatever health things they have to do. And I think the only thing that I stated was it doesn't interfere with the parking spaces down there that you use for the boat trailers and everything else that are down there. So as long as we're not taking from spots that people use to park, their cars and their boat trailers. I don't want them to start filling up spots that, we can't let people start using the park just because we got a couple of food trucks down there.
Yeah, I went down I think they came in last week or maybe the week before that, and I went down to kind of scope out where they could possibly go without interfering. And when you pull into that, after the boat launch, into that parking lot, the one vendor has to be on level ground, so he could be on parking lot, but also in the shade and out of the way, and the other vendor could be on the grass because it's Italian ice. So that they would also be in the shade, and I think the kids coming off the playground would enjoy that. I thought it was great because one of them came into our office and we just had a discussion about it. And I said, yeah, I'd bring it up to you guys, and if everybody was comfortable.
So there's two potential vendors right now that have
Yeah.
a question? Okay.
Yeah, just the two.
And you said you looked at the code and there's no code issues. Does that also include zoning?
I went through
Or did you
the,
just go through town code?
no, both. Nothing came in with all the keywords that I was putting in.
All right, so we wouldn't need any sort of variance or anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I would ask Jason about it, but I wanted to.
It's municipally owned property.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I don't think you would need, say, a variance or site plan review, but
I mean, we would be exempt,
You'd be exempt, correct.
but,
I would characterize it almost as a revocable license, right, that you would grant to these folks, and I think long-term you would want a process,
Mhm.
but it's important that you have the ability to, one, say no, and two, limit the number that you'd say yes to in any given time, and essentially revoke it if any vendor became problematic. We want to be clear, you guys have the ability to just say, that's it, we're gonna move on to somebody else.
currently
We
they
would
give
monitor it now. I mean, if we allow a couple of trucks to go down there now, who's gonna go down there and just make sure that they're A, parked in the right spot, and B, it's trucks that we've approved and nobody else is just going down there because they see.
Yeah.
Are we putting it under Jason to go down there, take a look at, or are we gonna put it under somebody else, go down there, take a look at?
I would suggest, like right now when you rent a park, you have to fill out a facility use form.
Yeah.
And if you're commercial, you have to have a liability, so
Right.
probably a similar type of form, so they can reserve the days that they're gonna be there, even if they say they're gonna be there every Saturday. But as long as we have their DOH on file and their general liability, so we would have to have those documents and the contract is what I would suggest. You could either do it through Mr. Fazio, or you could do it through here, like we do the parks.
Works. Makes
And I would
sense.
probably and like every weekend, we tell the highway and the police department what parties and who's allowed to be at the park and what's going on, so we probably do the same with the vendors. So if they happen to be patrolling, they can say,
Yeah.
why is Mike there? Well, Mike's supposed to be there, but,
Don't you also have to make sure they're inspected too by the health department?
well, yes.
Well, that's
Yes.
part of the paperwork.
Yeah, part of the
They need to provide
paperwork,
you
they have to have their
insurance
DOH forms and their general liabilities.
I'm gonna assume it's not gonna be just on the weekends. I mean, it's a busy summertime, the river gets used and the riverfront gets used a lot during the regular week too, so I'm sure those vendors are gonna wanna be down there, throughout the normal course of the week as well, not just the weekend.
Striper season,
yeah.
you're all morning.
Striper season, yeah, you said, starts
she'll have to tell the two that if they go either see Fazio or the town
Well, I was gonna
clerk.
say the next step would, if they came to see you.
How about Fozzie and I will talk and we'll figure out the particulars and get back to you.
Okay, great.
And
Be
just,
better off by the soccer field.
yeah, where exactly are we proposing that they set up?
Well, the one is,
Parking lot by Yannick's, you're saying, right?
no,
No,
as you
we
come
couldn't-
down,
It's further up.
To the right?
Dock, when you go, yeah, when you see,
Behind the
before you
playground?
get to the boat launch, you hang that right to the parking lot where the
Yeah.
kids' playground
Wouldn't
is.
it be better by the soccer field?
Well, the one needs to be, it's Friday, so he needs to be on level ground, and you would imagine in shade too.
Well, when we had the festivals there were a lot of people parked over there.
We're
Okay.
trying to deter them from taking up the parking spots in that area. Technically, it's not a parking area.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
it's only,
shaded.
what, 2 vendors, right?
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we would need to know, because all of a sudden we don't want to go down there and have 15 in the parking lot.
Right.
But if there's 2, that's probably a better space for them to be in at this time, I would think.
What about, Rich, what about insurance?
You want proof that they have insurance and you
Where
would
they're
want them to,
identifying us,
you would want them to name you as a.
additional insured.
We'll get a COI with the town.
What kind of
commission.
insurance do they need?
You just get it as additional insured to most people's business.
There are certain criteria that for the parks that we have, which I'll pull and I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
As
I mean,
well,
I'll
just to
typically
make
it
sure it's
consistent,
sufficient.
just so that.
Yeah.
But it's important to have the actual insurance as opposed to just an indemnification agreement.
Right.
Because you really want an insurance carrier who's
Yeah.
who's backing you up.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. That brings us right to the resolution.
Public hearing. Open the public hearing.
Oh, thank you. We got so lost. Yeah, let's introduce. Here we go. This public hearing, and I guess I make a motion to open this public hearing for the 2025 CDBG CFA grant application.
Before we open it, do we want Candace to read the public notice?
You can probably finish opening it and then I can read it.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just very quickly, the purpose of this hearing is to, actually, take it away, Candace, let's see, maybe we have same information.
Great. Town of Queens, Albany County, New York, public notice. The Town of Queens will hold a public hearing on July 10th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at Queens Town Hall, 18 Russell Avenue, Ravena, New York, for the purpose of hearing public comments on the Town of Queens community development needs and to discuss the possible submission of one or more community development block grants, CDBG, applications for the 2025 program year. The CDBG program is administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal, OCR, and will make available to eligible local governments up to $2 million for the 2025 program year for housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low, moderate income persons. The Town of Queens, in collaboration with the Village of Ravena, is planning to apply for up to $2 million in CDBG funds for a joint sewer improvement project. The hearing will provide further information about the CDBG program and will allow for resident participation in the development of any proposed grant applications and/or to provide input in the development of alternate proposals. Comments on the CDBG program proposed projects will be received at this time. The hearing is being conducted pursuant to Section 570.486, Subpart 1 of the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR, and in compliance with the requirements of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. Assistance under the CDBG program must meet one of 3 national objectives: benefit to low and moderate income persons, elimination of slums and blight, urgent needs affecting the health and safety of the community. No less than 70% of grant funds must be used for activities benefiting low and moderate income persons, and the benefit area must contain at least 51% low and moderate income residents. All interested residents, including minority, women, disabled, and disadvantaged persons, are strongly encouraged to attend this public hearing. Written and verbal comments and questions can be directed to Candace McHugh, Town Clerk, at 18 Russell Ave, Ravena, New York, 12143, by telephone 518-756-6006. Please contact the Town Clerk if special accommodations are needed for persons with disabilities those with hearing impairments, or those in need of translation from English. Questions, comments, or public review after the public hearing, but before the formal submission of the application, can be arranged by calling or writing Candace McHugh, Town Clerk, 18 Russell Ave, Queens, New York, 12143, or by calling 518-756-6006. After submission, a copy of the application will be available for public inspection at the town office.
Thank you. Yep, that pretty much covered it. The only other thing I have is Scott Siegel's joined us tonight to answer any questions. So, if Scott, you want to step up to the lectern and
Sure.
I'll ask you some questions.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you all again. Thank you for having me back. As you know, LaBerge Group is developing the CDBG application, hopefully for a $2 million award towards the sewer district improvement project. And the public hearing that we are having tonight, as along with a number of other things I know are on your radars, is one of the many formalities required by HUD in order to submit a viable CDBG application. Beyond that, very familiar with the project itself, and we're headed at this point, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Does the public have any questions?
Time while the hearing is open, so feel free to run down your agenda in the meantime.
Yeah, we had a long talk today, so I'm filled right to the top.
Is anybody from the public?
Yeah, any questions from the public? Okay.
We'll leave it open.
Yeah, thanks for coming. While we leave that open, we can do our resolutions.
All right. I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Ravens Academy program is in need of counselors and a head counselor to facilitate the program, and now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby appoint the following individuals as part-time counselors to the Ravens Academy program effective July 14th, 2025 through August 7th, 2025. At an hourly rate of $16 an hour, and I apologize if I mess up your names. So it's Piper Banfield, Madison LaMountain, Layla Perea, Charlotte Ronan, Evelyn Hopkins, Silas Dubois, Jonathan Weaver, Kiera Span, Kiana Carter, Ava Pulcher, Caitlin Collins, and Bisma Usmani. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby.
Do you not have Jonathan Weaver on that?
He said
Yeah, he said
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Just did
Oh,
it
sorry.
in a different order.
Yeah,
Oh.
he started from the bottom.
So, I don't know what down this line.
No, his is different than mine.
Yeah,
Yeah, his is over here, ours over there.
Oh, okay.
I'm only reading what I got. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby appoint Eric Chapman as head counselor for the Discovery Camp program effective July 14th, 2025 through August 7th, 2025 at an hourly rate of $18 an hour.
I know many of these students, and I think they'll do a great job, so I second that.
Just for discussion, where it says Discovery Camp Program, shouldn't it say Ravens Academy Program?
It should, yes, it should.
So I'll amend that in the resolution from Discovery Camp program to Ravens Academy program with the same.
What is the Ravens Academy?
It's a change from the Discovery Camp program. They renamed it Ravens Academy for this summer.
Okay.
It's a different program.
It's essentially a remedial academics program, so kids don't fall behind.
Yeah, well, I knew the Discovery program, but
It's less camp-like. They renamed it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
They were great. They were, so
Yeah.
everybody knows they were excellent applicants, yes.
Nice. Good.
Motion carries.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution, move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens operates a Section 8 housing choice voucher program funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and whereas the town of Queens is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to prepare and adopt a written PHA plan that establishes local policies for administration of the Section 8 housing choice voucher program in accordance with regulations of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And whereas the town board of the town of Queens has caused a written PHA plan to be prepared establishing local policies for administration of the Section 8 housing choice voucher program in accordance with regulations of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and has reviewed such written plan. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby adopts the 5-year PHA plan starting in 2025 for operation of the town of Queens Section 8 housing choice voucher program.
Second discussion?
Just for discussion, Rich, is this a document that your office prepared? Or
No, this plan was prepared by Nancy Williams' office.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Will bring us to upcoming meetings. July 14th and July 23rd are the next PBZBA meetings, both at 7 p.m. Our next meeting is the 24th of July at 6 p.m. And then PBZBA has another one August 11th at 7 p.m. Public comment time. If any resident has a comment, you can step to the lectern, please.
Or any public comments on the public hearing?
I will ask one question.
Sure.
The $2 million that you're going in with the Village Ravena, right? Now, what is that for?
The wastewater treatment plant and, well, there's two projects, technically three. The phase one is the lift stations and the sewer pipes, and phase two is the wastewater treatment plant. And the third option is to combine them. There's many different grant agencies that you could reach out to. If you would like to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 2 million, the CDBG application that's being developed right now is specifically for project number 1, which is the sewer trunk line near the village repairs and village station.
So is it in writing that the village gets 1 million and we get 1 million,
No.
or?
No. The village is involved in that they share the system. They contribute to the system,
Right.
and a lot of the trunk sewer line runs right through the village. We were informed, actually, we had a meeting with the Office of Community Renewal about this and went over the project with them. We had their direction that the village became involved. Their only real involvement in the grant piece of this is that they are essentially supportive. They are having their own public hearing, for example, next week.
Right,
On the very same topic.
okay.
But the town is the lead applicant.
Okay.
They would control what happens with that grant and how those monies are spent.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I want to ask one question. You guys were talking about vendors for, on the greens. They used to have, farmer's market in the community. And I was just wondering if that was ever discussed, or how to bring that back.
Yeah, I have a file on it. I'm trying to work on that to bring it back. The other part of Riverfront Park is we have 2 grant applications out right now, and I'm working on the third one, which should be done probably Tuesday. That Kim Rossman from BOCES will, write up the grant proposal for. And that's kind of slowing down farmers market as it diverts attention, because we should have one. Also, when I started poking around in it, our farmers market was on the same day as the Coxsackie one, so that has to be addressed. So it's just kind kind of a bunch of logistics and,
Yeah, they had the same time that they had the music on Wednesdays, I think it was. But they had a section in the parking lot where they kind of like, for a couple vendors, they used to do that, like Freezy's Bakery would be there, but they'd bring their truck. The Smoking Pig would be there, they had their like little venue, and then a few others would come along. And they had their specific spots, you know. I figured just because a lot of towns always have it, and they're always pretty popular.
yeah, we definitely want to bring that back. It's a big community builder. Any further comment? Okay, hearing none,
Want to close the public hearing?
yeah, make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I will also make a motion to adjourn our regular meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
If I could just note for the board members, I did ask Michael Ravena from my office to come down today, and also is Victor Fuso, who's a rising third year at Albany Law working for us for the summer. I know that Michael has been a supervisor before, actually when he was down looking at records that we couldn't access remotely, and I think he's met Candace before.
I don't think
As
so.
part of that,
We-
no? Spoken. So I thought it would be helpful for him to